All right, let's talk about marriage. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea that suggests it's not just a piece of paper, not just a simple agreement, but something, well, something way more profound and permanent.
So this really is the central question, isn't it? Is marriage just a social contract? And, how you answer that, well, it changes absolutely everything about how you see one of the most important relationships in your life. Okay, so this is the absolute core of the whole idea. A contract, think about it. It's basically built on distrust, right? It's all about protecting yourself. If you do this for me, then I'll do that for you. The whole focus is on what do I get? But a covenant, it flips that script completely. It's built on trust. It's built on a promise. The question totally changes. It becomes, what can I give? And the commitment isn't conditional. It's I will, no matter what.
So, to really get the weight of this idea, we need to kind of zoom out and see where marriage even fits in the big picture, at least from this biblical perspective. It's not just another relationship. We're talking about one of the most foundational bonds a person can have. The source material we're looking at points to these three relationships as being the most permanent, the most solemn. You've got the relationship between a believer and God, the one between spouses, and the bond that believers have with each other. And what's the common thread? The root holding them all together? It's this idea of a covenant. Okay, so what is a covenant really? I mean, the source material almost talks about it like it's a mystery, something ancient and deep that needs to be unlocked. So yeah, let's dig in.
And this verse from Psalms is so key to understanding this. It frames the covenant not as something you just figure out with your brain, but as a secret that God shows you. It's more of a revelation than just an idea.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the language here. We talk about making a deal, right? But in the original Hebrew, you don't make a covenant. You cut a covenant. It's a pretty intense word choice, and it's totally intentional. It points to something way more serious, something sacrificial. And that word choice, cut, brings us to probably the most vivid example in the Bible, Abraham's covenant with God. I mean, the ceremony that's described is wild. Animals are sacrificed, and their bodies are literally cut in two, laid out to create this grim pathway. And then, in the middle of all this, something totally supernatural happens. A smoking oven and a burning torch, which symbolize God's presence, they pass right between those animal pieces. That is what seals the deal. It's like a symbolic walk through death, showing just how deadly serious this promise is. And this is the absolute crucial point, the link between a covenant and death. This quote from Hebrews lays it right out there. A covenant is only valid when someone has died. So in this view, when you enter a covenant, you're basically signing your own death warrant. It's the death of your old independent self. You're giving up your right to just do whatever you want. So let's just recap what we've got so far. The principles of a covenant are pretty clear, right? 1, it's based on a sacrifice. 2, it's a serious oath made before God. 3, it requires a death to your old self. And 4, it is the ultimate, unbreakable commitment. Okay, so now let's take all of that intense, ancient idea of a covenant, and apply it directly to marriage. How does this totally change how we see this relationship? This is where the big theological ideas really hit the road. And the source material doesn't beat around the bush. This verse right here from Malachi directly calls her your wife by covenant. And who's the witness? God himself. So this isn't just a social thing we came up with. It's presented as a divinely recognized sacred bond. And when you see it that way, you start to understand why something like adultery is seen as so catastrophic. It's not just, breaking a moral rule. It's like taking a rock to this sacred thing you've built. You're shattering the covenant. It's seen as a profound act of betrayal. So where do the instructions for this covenant relationship come from? Well, they're laid out right at the very beginning, in Genesis. It says, a man will leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and the two of them will become one flesh. Let's break those two words down because they are huge. First, you leave. That means you're making a conscious decision to shift your primary loyalty away from your parents. Then you cleave. That's about grabbing on, forging this brand new, unbreakable bond with your spouse. That new unit, that becomes number one. All right, so if marriage is a covenant, what's the point? What's the goal? I think a lot of us today would immediately say happiness, right? But the source material we're digging into points to a totally different goal.
And that goal is unity. It's that simple. From this perspective, the whole point of the marriage covenant is for two individuals to become one, to merge so completely that they create a new single entity. That's what one flesh is all about.
So what does that mean in practice? It means marriage isn't seen as some kind of experiment, a let's see if this works out kind of thing. It's a solid commitment from day one. There's no trial run. It's a real definitive, life-altering decision. And get this, there's one more layer. According to the source, this covenant relationship isn't supposed to be some private little thing between two people. It's actually meant to be a public demonstration, a living, breathing message to the entire world. So, what's the message? The core idea is that a Christian marriage is supposed to be a living picture of an even bigger spiritual reality, the covenant relationship between Christ and the church. So, in a way, the marriage itself becomes this powerful metaphor acted out for everyone to see.
And this picture has two distinct but complementary parts. According to the Apostle Paul in Ephesians, the husband's role is to show what sacrificial, self-giving love looks like. The wife's role, then, is to show what reverential love and respect looks like. The idea is that together, their roles paint the full picture of that larger spiritual covenant.
And that brings us to our final thought. What if we started looking at more of our relationships through this lens? Not just marriage, but friendships, community. What if we thought of them more like covenants instead of contracts? I mean, really think about it. That shift from what's in it for me to what can I give, that's a game changer. And it's definitely something powerful to reflect on.